So, you reach tier 10 and now fighting against some real opponents with some real units. No more of that I died because I had low tier nonsense. Now your goal should be improving as a player, as well as a few other stuff that completely change at tier 10. I'll bring the biggest change that you will face. You see, just like in every skill in life, when you reach a certain level of expertise, the things you did not care about as much become much more important because your competition ended up mastering the basics as well. And now the smallest things make the biggest difference. So we will cover two of the most important ones. One, switchable skills, and consumables. Now, quick caveat, I'm not going to teach you what to bring every time because these will change as the game changes, even more so than our previous tutorials. I will, however, tell you what to bring in what situation, so what type of consumables rather than exactly what consumable. I'll also cover these for melee units and cavalry in the future videos. So picking your abilities and consumables I have found to be the most complicated and impactful thing in those units in comparison to all others. In all other units, the consumables you pick will make you slightly better at what you do, but consumables in ranged can completely change who you are good and bad against, which is very crucial. We will cover these scenario by scenario. So in scenario number 1, when you do not know what enemy has, which is a random game, a blind pick, whatever. In this case, you must maximize your longevity and passive bonuses. In these kinds of battles, usually when you see your counter, you just run in the other direction and aid with other flank. So you take a Fletcher and similar passive buffs and do your job. Pick the abilities that are a mix of offensive and defensive depending on what you have on the team. If you know you will be defended, then you can go full offensive with things like rapid shot, strain. It is always a good idea though to add something defensive such as raise shields or dash as one of the 3 abilities. 1 just in case, 2 whenever you have defeated the rest, you will have to fight your counter. So scenario number 2. Mirror matches. This, while does not mean it's 100% mirror, but almost the same amount of skirmishers, infantry, cavalry ratio, so you know you can expect some resistance and range duels. In this case, pick things that will give you that anti-range advantage, because if the enemy range is gone, you are well defended. Then it will be very easy to take out the rest of the infantry. So in this case, pick long-range consumables, the range-increasing consumables, damage boosts and fire rate boosts. If available, raise shields because you will be expecting to get shot at least a few times, and that extra block makes all the difference despite its drawbacks. Scenario number 3. Enemy has range superiority. This is generally unfavorable for you, but in this case you will have to use the map to your advantage. If the map has a lot of open spaces like Rubicon, use anything you can find as a cover. Do as much damage to their high damage skirmishers such as javelins and barbarian archers as possible, and play very defensive. If enemy is too busy firing at your threats, then take those shots of opportunity to swing the tide in your favor. Here, take everything that is quick damage such as focus fire, heavy shot and passive buffs. Then also take defensive stuff, whatever that is available to you in terms of both consumable and ability, such as the shield maker, dash, or raise shields. Scenario number 4, you have missile superiority. Here, things get tricky because if you have the superiority in missiles, it means your cavalry or infantry is lacking. Most likely, your strategy will be to kite, which is not accurate at all, but that is the term that we are currently stuck with. In which case, you take 2 out of 3 abilities with range power, skip defense because your numbers will be defense enough from enemy range, and add some focus fire because you will need it if the enemy cavalry breaks through. You will also want a dash for the aforementioned kite mini phase of the battle. Your goal here is to 1. Take out the enemy support units. 2. Take out fast targets. 3. take out enemy threats in the long term, such as Germanicus. For consumables, take your passive bonuses depending on how many range you think you will face. Long range or short range consumables if you think you're gonna face at least quite a few ranged units. Usually if the enemy has more than one range unit, I will take it because they still pose a threat to my javelins, but this is something you will need to find out as you play. And those are the main scenarios that I had in mind. Following this should give you some advantage in an organized play and win the battle before it even started. Or at the very least give you some advantage overall. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.